number one stressor of being a law enforcement spouse?
Well, I think you're going to talk about being a law enforcement officer. I could answer
No,
that.
no, 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 no. We're giving the spouses a little highlight right now, too.
Okay. I'm going to
Right?
just start with, well, let me just go to this topic and I'm going to throw it out there into the universe and then we'll circle back around to the spouse. It's just that I believe the number one issue for law enforcement is administrative internal stuff. That's number one. There's no doubt in my mind. I just don't know how. That's got to be the top. A lot of things have a lot of value and carry a lot of weight when we're talking about mental health. That's the number one.
Yeah.
So let's go. Now let's go to what do I think wives, spouses, and they're worried about somebody being killed in the line of duty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What's
Number
your
one
guess?
fear. Number one fear.
Yep. You want me to guess
Anxiety.
more?
Keep going. I'm writing these down.
Okay.
I brought my
So,
notepad this time so that we can stay on track.
hey, lady, look at me. See this? I got notes too. Got notes for days. Nice. Okay, so the next one I'm going to guess is, and people are probably yelling at their audio listening device saying, no, this one's. So if I miss one, it's just because I'm merely being put on the spot and haven't put a lot of thought into it.
Right.
How about the fact that their spouses or significant others are missing life events?
Big one.
Okay.
Big one. I cover this in my relationship block. Okay, big one. Absolutely. I mean, part of being in a relationship is experiencing things together, shared memories, right? And that's really hard to do when there are really, really important events and traditions that are not happening or being missed. And that kind of segment that into like always coming number two, I think I kind of like touched on that on the last podcast. We come second, and that's a really, really difficult thing for some people to know that something is more important than you. It's hard in a relationship. I think.
I'm going to say two things, but I'll share a personal experience of mine years ago. What am I? So 16 years ago, I dated a girl I'm actually very good friends with still, friends with her husband. And she wanted me to go to something that meant a lot to her, but I couldn't make it. I was actually working in Washington, D.C., but living in New Jersey because I worked at a federal agency. And we had a schedule that allowed me to travel back to Jersey for my personal time. And she had something very important. And I said, I can't make it. And she went to it. And she was really broken up over the fact that I couldn't be there. And I tried to explain, we were younger, 24, 23. I said, it's just part of the dynamic of dating a police officer. So, oddly enough, and if she's listening or my friend, her husband is listening, she married a police officer. So went on to continue. By the way, at my recommendation, when she had met this fellow, I said, I think this is the guy that you should really relieve your current relationship and go check this dude out. And they got married and had kids, and they're wonderful together.
Wow, that's nice.
Yep. Here's a little quick side note. I'm friends with all my ex-girlfriends, almost all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yep. I never left on a crazy note. Just I don't think it's going to be it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, then that's good.
I'm not a dramatic person,
I don't see you as being one.
So I could disengage from a relationship in an amicable manner.
And just turn off the romance and just turn on the friendship.
Yeah. Could separate the two.
Yeah. You're really emotionally broken.
So good.
I'm just kidding.
It's probably pretty true.
I'm joking. No, that's I don't know a lot of spouses who would be comfortable with that. That takes a level of confidence as a significant other to be comfortable with that. And B, for you, like I said, like turning on and off that light switch. It's like, if you've been there before, how do you just look at someone as something less than you looked at them before?
I think that in my mind, in some kind of a dating relationship, would say, okay, this person meets the qualification that I would consider maybe a long-term relationship. And then I would give it that time. And I would just weigh pros and cons in my mind. Is this the person I'm going to marry? And if it was really no doubt that it was not that person I was going to marry, if it's not 100% yes, then it's a no for me.
Shit or get off the pot.
Well, I mean, and a lot of people, let's face facts, will not have the ability to discern, and they will remain in relationships they should not remain in. So I'm able to, that's probably some of the reason why I have business success. I'm able to do that in business as well. You know, and so that's probably some of it's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't mean I don't have any emotion towards it, but I don't let the amygdala control the real brain.
That's right. Prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah, man.
I know some fancy terms too. But let me ask you this:
Good. Why?
How you're the wife of a law enforcement officer? Has this affected you at all?
Yep. My husband was in the military when we got together. So I came in this very fucking cocky. Like, you know, if I can handle living a majority of our time away from each other, then I can handle this. It's a totally different fucking animal. And I think that anybody listening who's been in the military can relate to that. So I came in and I was like, you know, I got this. I worked, you know, working in a jail. You know, he was in the military. He was stationed in West Virginia. We got to see each other on the weekends. I'm like, this is nothing. This is a cakewalk. Totally, totally different animal. And I think that part of that has to do with mentally tuning in and out. So it's like, you know, if you're on if you're deployed, your mindset shifts. When you come back home, your mindset ideally should shift back. Sometimes that doesn't happen. That's part of the issue, right? But the difference with law enforcement is that you're doing it 5 days out of the week, maybe even more, depending on how much overtime they're taking. And it's a portion of every single part of your day. So how do you do that multiple times throughout the week, if that makes any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, now I'm shifting back over to law enforcement, not spouses. So wait, so let me come back. See, because our needs get suffocated sometimes. We start to, everything gets so focused on the job that we like kind of forget about us a little bit, you know?
I agree. You know what? I try to, as you speak, put myself in the position of a spouse of a law enforcement officer and try to understand that side of it. And, you know, maybe for the first time ever, and actually it's bringing up something where I think that there are masculine roles being played, and I think men expect women to understand that they have to provide and they have to be there and da-da-da. But I think men also have to have an accountability that yes, bills have to be paid, but there has to be some good communication and deploying some empathy to the side of what is the other person going through? What is your wife going through? What is your significant other, your spouse, your girlfriend, who you're eyeing up for a future marriage going through? What are your kids going through? Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to our channel or leave a comment below and also like us too. It means the world to us.